Keto and crime, keto and crime. We uncover the grime on keto and crime. Keto and crime, keto and crime. Now is the time for keto and crime.
Hey everyone, Tracy here from Keto and Crime. Thank you so much to every single one of my patrons and channel members. You make this possible. And you're one of the reasons I do this. And I thank you from the bottom of my heart. And if I haven't said it before, thank you. I'll sing it. Thank you. Thank you for hanging in there with me and letting me geek out, not making fun of me like a lot of other people do, because I like weird stuff about crime and dark history. Re. Thanks, everyone. Hey, everyone. Welcome to Keto and Crime. Today, very special video kind of highlighting the saga of Casey and Vicky White. Now, I want to preface this by saying, please do not judge the state of Alabama based on this case. Or, you know, I find whenever my home state is in the news, it's either tornado swept through a trailer park, boss hog like politicians riding horses into election areas, or that also have messed with underage girls, i.e., Roy Moore, and things like this. The state of Alabama is a great state. It's a great state to live. I'm proud to be from there. But please don't judge my home state on this. Please, 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 please. But anyway, so Casey and Vicky White, even though they share the same last name, they are not related. That is just a coincidence. But who are they? What happened? And what's to come? Let's talk about it. To my right, your left, you see a picture of Casey White. He was a correctional facility in Alabama. He is 6'9" and weighs over 300 pounds. So a very ominous character. He himself grew up in Alabama, but he played football, but basically was described as people not having a moral compass. He would do anything to get his way to anyone, and that led him to a lot of different incidents. His criminal record goes way back to 2012, where he was convicted of beating his own brother with an axe handle, almost to death. That landed him in prison for more than 4 years, and he served out his sentence in Jefferson County Detention Center. So he served that, was out, and then in 2015 went on a crime spree, which consisted of over 10 break-ins, assaults over the course of the year. And he was eventually convicted of 7 of those potential charges and was sentenced to 75 years in state prison. During the time, he threatened to kill his ex-girlfriend if he ever got out. So not a good person. And what leads us to where we are today is the fact that during this time he was transferred between prison in Birmingham, Alabama, and the holding facility in Lauderdale County, actually Florence, Alabama, which is the home of the University of North Alabama. It's a great area. We call it the Shoals. It's there. Florence, Muscle Shoals make up the Shoals area of Alabama in northwest Alabama. Great area there. But he was being sent back and forth between the two facilities for both mental health evaluations, and then in 2020, when he confessed to the murder of a 59-year-old mom, and we're going to talk about that, he was sent back to await those charges and that potential trial. This is Connie Ridgway and one of her sons. She was a 59-year-old, very sweet, everyday Alabama mama, grandma. She looks like she could be in my family. I mean, these are what the women in my family remind me of. Very sweet, very demure, just a really nice person. And he, Casey White, confessed to her very brutal stabbing murder in 2015. Who was she? She was a divorced mom with 2 grown sons that lived in Rogersville, Alabama, which is just on the Tennessee line. She worked at the local Hardee's, and her second husband had died in 2003, leaving her with no life insurance. So she was in a bad way, but it never stopped her from being there for her kids. She was known as the patriotic mom because she was born on the 4th of July, and as a result, had patriotic stuff all over her apartment. Anytime you went into her home, America. So she was always there for her sons. Her 2 sons told stories of how she would save all her money so that she had gas money to travel to see them. She even went to a baseball game with them in Atlanta with a broken toe. The pain would not stop her, and she was just very, very much there for her children. Both her sons were grown, and the last time they saw her alive was in August of 2015 when she traveled to a pizza place outside of Birmingham, Alabama to meet her son Austin for his birthday. She was also very involved. He was had a long-distance internet relationship with a young woman in Albania. She had talked on the phone to her, loved her, wished her well, and was very excited when they started the process of bringing her over to Alabama to marry Austin. Unfortunately, in October of 2015, a neighbor at her apartment complex became suspicious when she hadn't seen Connie in a while and called the police for a welfare check, and they found her stabbed to death in her apartment, the victim of a home invasion gone wrong. And then in 2020, CaseyWhite confessed to the killing. And that is why he was back in Lauderdale County to await processing on those charges. As a result, he was charged with 2 counts of capital murder. That is murder committed while trying to commit another crime, i.e. the home invasion. So this all ties back to all the other things that he did in 2015. This was just probably one that he never got fingered for. And it was while he was awaiting those charges in Lauderdale County, he first came into contact with Vicky White. Vicky White was a 20-year veteran of the correction system in Alabama, had won Employee of the Year several times, was well respected, well loved, and since she was nearing retirement with her pension, she was basically in charge of prisoner transport at the Lauderdale County Detention Center, and this is where she first came into contact with CaseyWhite, who was 36 at the time. And the two started a relationship, even though the details of that have not really come to light. We know they had more than a guard-prisoner relationship. Now, I have a good friend and coworker that was a former prison guard, and he said that's just not done. That should never have been done, but it does happen. And so other inmates that have been interviewed said that she was always polite to all the prisoners, always followed the rules. Everyone liked her, but she would give special privileges to Casey, such as extra food. She would put money on his commissary tab where they can buy things, just things that would normally not be done, she did for Casey, and it did breed a lot of jealousy and ill will among some of the other prisoners. And when he was transferred back to Jefferson County, she actually would call him, and there were recorded prison phone calls of her calling and communicating with him, though she never turned up to visit him, and would continue to, as he was transferred back and forth between the 2 facilities for holding and mental evaluation, she continued their after working hours relationship, mostly via phone. Now, whether they were intimate, I don't know. There's been no proof of that, no actual thing that would lead me to believe that had happened, at least while he was incarcerated. She never, as I said, she never went to visit him, so to speak. So that's how they became acquainted. Now, in April of this year, people noticed a lot of different things going on with Vicky. Vicky had just suffered the death of someone close to her, her ex-husband. Even though they had been divorced several years, her and her ex-husband continued to live in the same house. He had Parkinson's. He was very ill. They did not split, even though they were legally divorced. She continued to stay there. and take care of him. And then once he passed, she was kind of all alone, and people noticed a huge change in her. And then April, she was noted that she was buying a lot of different weapons and firearms, such as an AR-15 and other things around town. She was noted as buying that. She bought up some men's clothes, some things like that. And then the weirdest thing was, she was noted to have attended gone to a adult bookstore and bought some stuff. And also, she sold her house in mid-April, the one that she had shared with her former husband, for just over $95,000, well under the almost 200 she could have gotten for it. The house was paid off, so she was able to pocket all of that money, as well as money that, because she was a very frugal person, didn't spend any extra money. She had quite a bit of savings built up, and from all accounts withdrew most of that for cash just before April 29th, 2022, when she had also filed for her official retirement with her pension from the state of Alabama to begin. So she was about to make a clean break at 56 years of age, so to speak. On April 29th, she told her coworkers and supervisors she was taking Casey for a mental evaluation because she was in charge of prisoner transport. No one thought anything about it. And then because she wasn't feeling well, she was going to go visit an urgent care clinic. But prior to that, the day before, she drove a 2007 Ford Edge that she purchased for cash and left it in a shopping center parking lot near the Florence jail. She then went and picked up Casey. The surveillance camera, which I'll post here, caught them exiting the detention center and stepping into her sheriff's vehicle and then driving off for what they thought was a routine mental health evaluation. Now, the sheriff's vehicle was abandoned in that same shopping center parking lot, and the Ford disappeared. So they had about a 6 to 8 hour head start on authorities before anybody realized what had happened. And then an all-out national manhunt with up to $10,000 in rewards on Casey, and then additional rewards on Vicky, led it to be an over $25,000 reward for any information on them. They traveled north to Tennessee, and in Williamson County, Tennessee, which is about 45 minutes from where I sit right now, the Ford was found abandoned, and they suspect it had mechanical problems. They didn't want to take the time to have it fixed, so they acquired another vehicle and moved on. The trail kind of went cold until they were spotted at a hotel in Evansville, Indiana, which is in Vanderborough County in Indiana. And the police attempted to apprehend them, which led to a vehicular chase. And eventually, one of the law enforcement vehicles did ram their car, bringing them to a stop.
Landing right here in Evansville. The suspects wanted out of Alabama have been caught after a police chase. And 44 News reporter Ella Shemwell is going to begin our live coverage with what we know so far. Ella.
Yeah, Brian, we are right over here just off of Highway 41 in Burton. You can kind of see the scene is very chaotic right now. We are still learning details, but we can confirm that both Casey and Vicky, one is in custody and one is in the hospital. The female is actually in the hospital. We know that they are driving down here in a police pursuit about 70 miles per hour. You can see that car flipped over in the ditch right now. We have multiple agencies on scene, but apparently this was going for a while. Now, we do not know the condition of her, but we do know that he is in custody. So we are going to stay on scene and work to gather some more information, and we'll bring you the latest coming up in about 15 minutes. Reporting live in Evansville, Ella Shemwell, 44 News.
Now, everybody expected there to be kind of a shootout, but as law enforcement approached the vehicle, they were able to take Casey into custody, but unfortunately, Vicky shot herself as the police approached her, and she has been noted as passed on.
The breaking news that Alabama corrections officer Vicky White has died. Escaped confessed murderer CaseyWhite is now in custody. The breaking news about Vicky White coming about 3 hours or so after it broke that the two had been involved in a crash with the authorities who had been chasing them. They'd been on the run for almost 11 days after she helped him walk out. So I know that you had wanted answers from Vicky White, but your reaction now to the news that she has died?
Well, it's obvious now that the questions we had will never get answered. I found out about Vicky's demise just shortly before we came on the air. You know, in a facility like ours, a small facility, I think we got 48 employees in the detention center. She was the second in command, but she knew every employee down there. And it's like family. And in spite of all that's transpired, I know our employees are going to take this very hard. She was a friend to them. We're still awestruck as to why she would have pulled a stunt like this. As I said, we'll never really know now. But you know, I'm certainly want to send my condolences out to her family. Her mother had just been through a tremendous amount of stress and pressure the last few days. They love their daughter, and you know, we just unfortunately it turned out like this. But at the same time, you know, it doesn't surprise me. My concern was that CaseyWhite would kill her. But I also, in the back of my head, the last week and a half, I've been concerned that if they were both caught, that this might happen.
Tell me why you say it doesn't necessarily surprise you that she did this.
Well, knowing Vicky, I don't, you know, and the part she'd be facing coming back, and I think more so than facing the charges, I think facing her family and her coworkers. I think, you know, I was just concerned that would really weigh on her, and that, you know, if it came down to a situation like it did today, that this would be the result.
And the answers that you were seeking, you know, what sort of answers were you looking for? I mean, the why would she do it, et cetera. It is starting to seem clearer and clearer by the day exactly, you know, what happened here, right?
It is, and yes, you know, because, you know, the last 17 years, and y'all heard me say it numerous times, I mean, she has an unblemished record. She was voted of the last 7 years, she was voted the Supervisor Employee of the Year. This year, next week, when we present our annual awards, this year, she was voted the Corrections Employee of the Year. So, you know, it just come as a total shock. to her law enforcement family here in the sheriff's office. So I just don't know how to explain it.
So she is no longer with us as of reports early this morning. This happened yesterday. She is dead. After the search, they found $29,000, wigs, other weapons such as knives, as well as disguises and changes of clothes. It was pretty evident they were trying to get as far away from Alabama as possible. They were heading north. We don't know if they were heading for trying to get to the Canadian border, or at least heading, maybe out into the prairies in the Dakotas where there's not as many people. We don't know. But their saga came to an end on May 9th, last night, in Evansville, Indiana, with Casey being taken back into custody and Vicky taking her own life. As the days go on, we will start to hear more and more about this story, and I will continue to keep you updated. It will be part of my live on Friday. I hope to see you there. And with that being said, I just felt I needed to go ahead and update you on this case. And with that being said, I'll be back real soon. I appreciate everybody. I love everybody. And until next time, keto and crime.